Hello, good evening everyone, and welcome. Today is February the 11th, 2020, and I'm pleased to welcome you to Rhema Leadership Institute. I am Dr. Comanche, and today's lesson is Chapter 7, Personalities of Leadership, Leadership in Practice. And I just want to say before I begin, today I've been sitting here, I've been watching the news, and it's very disturbing what we're going through now as a country. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand how important it is for you to go to the polls and vote come this November. We've done a lot. We've made a lot of progress, but we really need to go and vote. And we need to vote for a leader who is morally competent, who is intellectually competent, who understands the Constitution of the United States, who understands the balance of power, who will not interfere in the judicial system, and who will not invite a foreign government into our elections. So we can do what we need to do to safely put our country in a good position by going to the polls and voting. Please make sure that you go vote. Your vote does matter, and it does count. Thank you, and I'm going to proceed with the lesson. So this is Chapter 7, Leadership in Practice. We have so far focused on many of the underlying principles behind being an effective leader. In this chapter, we will build on these by examining some of the practical elements of leadership and inspiring others. Number one, what makes an inspirational leader? What makes an inspirational leader? Number one, demonstrating high levels of personal energy and enthusiasm. You must have some energy. You must have some energy. So if you need to go get a Red Bull or whatever you need, but you need to have some energy. Number two, being a trusted leader with high levels of integrity. The leader must have integrity. The leader must keep his word or promise to you. Having a proven successful track record. A proven successful track record. Having a positive but realistic approach to work. Demonstrating genuine empathy and belief in others, and having confidence in their capabilities without being big-headed or egocentric. Behavior breeds behavior. People will, this is number two, people will naturally emulate the behaviors of those they are interacting with. If you, as a leader, demonstrate energy and enthusiasm, this will inevitably rub off on those around you. It will rub off on those around you. So if you are exhibiting energy and enthusiasm to your team as a leader, then the energy you bring will become contagious to those around you. Those things will end up on them. Your level of energy will be transferred to them. So, but if you're lazy, if you lack energy, if you lack enthusiasm, then those you're responsible for leading are going to say, well, what's the use? If he don't care or she don't care, why should we care? If they take it easy and don't do anything, then why should we do all of the work? You see? So you must have some energy and enthusiasm, because it will inevitably rub off on those around you. Welcoming change. Standing still is not an option. To stand still is not an option, as this would mean going backwards in real terms. The same applies to an individual's development. Even those that want to stay in the same or similar roles need to continue to learn and develop just to keep up with the pace of change. You should always be seeking to learn more and to develop in your particular craft. Going to seminars, going to workshops, reading books, networking with other professionals in your field who do the same thing that you do professionally. You must continue to learn and develop as a leader. Number 4, encourage a climate where people not only embrace change as a natural part of their working life, but actively seek out and suggest opportunities for improvements. Encourage a climate where people not only embrace change as a natural part of their working life, but actively seek out and suggest opportunities for improvement. These may be incremental improvements or more radical ideas for wholesale change. Number 5, we're going to challenge these sacred cows, right? Sometimes organizations develop sacred cows or rules or processes that have been in place for so long, nobody is prepared to question or challenge their continued existence. A sacred cow, a tradition, basically is what a sacred cow is. Don't let sacred cows develop, and where they already exist, encourage people to identify them, challenge their current validity. Traditions that are in place, some traditions are good, some traditions are valid, but don't be afraid to challenge them to see if those traditions or methods are outdated or no longer effective. If they are no longer effective or outdated and can be replaced with something more efficient or better, then we may need to change that particular sacred cow or tradition. Leading through change. Number 6, however positive the change and the climate in which takes place, there will always be individuals who find the process more difficult to handle or take on board. Now, there are going to be a number of reasons for this, right? One of the reasons may be certain roles may be negatively impacted by the proposed change or even lost entirely. If you get ready to replace a certain system, right, with another system, then that old system may have had someone in charge of that who may be against the change simply because they believe they may be put out of a job, or they may be no longer needed, or their role in the company may decrease, or it may increase. So you have to understand, so there's going to always be, right, individuals who find the process more difficult to handle or to take on board. Secondly, individuals may be expected to take on an additional responsibility, which, while positive overall, may leave them feeling unsure of their capabilities. Anytime you start to pour more work on somebody, especially at the same pay rate, you're going to run into some opposition. So don't get frustrated. Just understand, if people start to pile more work on you but don't want to pay you any more money, right? There may be misunderstandings over what changes are being imposed, right? So make sure that these things are clarified, the changes, so that there won't be any misunderstandings. Clearly explain to people, especially who may be being replaced or moved to another position in the organization. Explain to them how important they are, what their new responsibilities entail, how alleviating that particular process is going to be beneficial to them as an individual, but overall how it's going to be better for the organization. So make sure you clearly articulate that and clarify it so that there won't be any misunderstandings. Lastly, there may be differences of opinion over what the best solution for the proposed change may be. So there just simply may be a difference of opinion. And people will have different opinions. That does not mean that their opinions are not valid, right? You take all of those things into consideration. Okay? Okay. Stakeholder analysis. All right? Number 7, misunderstandings over proposed changes can be significantly reduced by setting in place effective communications throughout the change process. Anytime there's a misunderstanding, there's always a breakdown in communication. Say that again. Anytime there's a misunderstanding, then there's a breakdown in communication. So make sure that effective communication processes are put in place. Make sure that you have meetings. Make sure that you have, that you bring everybody on board, that everybody is properly informed, okay? So, let's read 7 again. Misunderstandings over proposed changes can be significantly reduced by setting in place effective communications throughout the change process. Prior to the commencement of any change, consider all of the affected parties or stakeholders and determine their stance over the proposed changes. And determine their stance over the proposed changes. Number 8, agree on how you're going to engage these individuals ahead of the change when necessary. So make sure you've thought this out, that when this challenge comes or this opposition comes, you already had in mind that it was going to come, and you know how to properly engage these people, right, or these persons on their level, and then clearly articulate and explain, right, the proposed changes. So you want to predetermine that and determine their stance over the proposed changes. Number 8, agree on how you're going to engage these individuals ahead of the change where necessary in order to gain their support. You inevitably want to gain their support. Even the people who are against it. In the long run, it's going to be more beneficial to you to engage them and to gain their support. Okay? Or active involvement. This is where the behavior stakeholder relationship becomes particularly useful. Okay? Strong leadership. Number 9. However perfectly you plan and deliver change, there's always the possibility that some individuals will disagree. That some individuals will disagree with the proposed changes. This may be as a result of the impact on their roles or because they disagree with the chosen plan. This is where, as a leader, your leadership skills come in here, where you will need to demonstrate firm yet be sensitive. You want to be firm yet sensitive as a leader. You want to exhibit firm but sensitive leadership skills. Provided you believe your decisions have been taken after full consideration, something we will be considering in the next chapter. Okay? Cross-functional teams. In a nutshell, we've been talking about this. Leadership is about influence, because you can't lead someone that you can't influence. Much of the skill in leading such teams is in the way you inspire and influence those in the team without the need to exert your direct authority. Yes, you can just exert direct authority, right? But you don't want to just do that. You want to use your inspiration and your influence to sway people to see things your way and to come on board and support you in these changes that you're making as a leader. In reality, this is very much how any team should be led. It is far more effective to engender a climate of cooperation and respect with your team members than to try to force your leadership on them. If you try to force your leadership on them, you're going to run into a lot of opposition. Even on things that are logically, we all know that it logically should go this way. But because you've not been sensitive and because you didn't use your influence and your inspiration, people will come against you anyway because there's no sensitivity. You seem firm or abrasive. And so people are going to just buck it anyway, simply because of your leadership style. So you don't want to do that. And number 11, being a bonded, energized, and well-suited team with all the right skills and behavior qualities is difficult. Or building a bonded, energized, and well-suited team with all the right skills and behavior qualities is difficult. Take time to profile what you really need from your team first. At the start of a project, it can help to bring the team together in a way that they can find out about each other's strength. So before you even initiate it, bring everybody together, give them just make them aware of what the impending changes may be, how you would like to do things. Ask people to do a brainstorming session, come together, present your new ideas before moving forward. That way, everybody will feel like you have included them in the process. This, my brothers and sisters, is wise leadership abilities. This is great leadership skills. I thank you. This is chapter 7. I look forward to next Tuesday night where we'll be going over chapter 8, and then after chapter 8, preparing ourselves for this course final exam. I thank you. I thank you for your attention. Please remember what I said at the beginning of the lecture, that if you need to prepare yourself to get out and vote. We are responsible for changing this culture for future generations. And if we don't do it, no one will do it. Thank you. I'm Dr. Comanche, and thank you for tuning in to Rhema Leadership Institute.